Okay, I think it's recording now. Okay, hopefully I will record. So today we're having two postdoc students recently got into their positions. One of them is Ruben Rojas. He graduated from University of Maryland, and he's now doing his postdoc at ETH Zurich. Our other panelist is Anil Thapa. He graduated from here, Oklahoma State University, and now he's doing his postdoc at University of Virginia. And today's panel is about did they get there, right? How was that transition between being a PhD student, now being a postdoc? You may ask if they consider industry or not, and why they are there. So, as a first question, I want to ask you, both of you, what are you doing now in your current positions, and what motivated you to choose those options?
Okay, Anil, you want to go?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So, hi everyone. For those of you who do not know me, I'm Anil. I graduated from Oklahoma State University in 2021 with Babu. So, my research is basically high energy physics, theoretical high energy physics. I primarily work on model building, dark matter, neutrino physics, all the phenomenology where I can put my hands on. Uh, what else? And then yeah, I applied for the postdoc last year. I always wanted to do postdoc. Always wanted to be in academic field. I never tried any other option. Um, yeah, so I'm glad that I could give you some insight to how to proceed in the academic sector. I guess at least I'm trying. I don't know.
Okay. Let me go. Yes. So yeah, I'm Ruben Rojas. I graduated from UMD, as Rusty said, and so I currently am in ETH Zurich. I am a postdoc fellow, I think is the official name. And so I was originally working in an experimental position with liquid metals and more in the context of geophysics. And now, so I'm doing the same, in theory is the same, but from a numerical perspective, no? And so this position is for 1 year or 2 years. And so I was originally, yes, working as an experimentalist. Now I'm doing simulations, hopefully, also a little bit of experiment as well. I did consider industry, and I got like two other options, which both were industry, and then this was the academic position. And I decided to stay in the academic position, and then we can talk about later maybe about my motive for doing so. No? So I can also give you, I can focus more on the perspective of applying to industry in that sense, no? As well. So
okay,
yep.
I have a set of questions prepared that some of you submitted through the questionnaire I submitted, but I'll leave the panel open to you if any one of you have a question right now. Does anyone have a question at this point? No? Okay. Then I'll proceed with one of the questions I have here. So, so how did your previous training prepare you for your current work as a postdoc? How did your PhD prepare you for this next step? Do you feel prepared, or no, it's more of the same? I don't know.
More or less prepared, I would say, since I'm doing a postdoc, but whatever I'm doing right now is very closely related to whatever I did in my PhD. Though I have extended my horizon, it had definitely helped me a lot. The hard work I put in, the sleepless nights, I don't know, working a lot of hours in my PhD to finish my thesis has definitely helped me.
How many hours per day do you usually work?
Oh, right now I would say like I work a lot, from 8 to almost 8 in the night, at least 12 hours.
At least when you were when you were graduate student.
when I was graduate student, maybe even more. At least in my final year, I worked even more.
Yeah, that is I have to say this was my experience. And I was graduate student. 12 hours a day was my minimum.
Yeah, it is still my minimum.
When I was postdoc, 12 hours a day was my minimum number of hours that I was working. How about you? How many hours you were working when you were graduate student, when you were working on your PhD?
So to be honest, I was very scattered in terms of the hours that I dedicated to work or not, and so I definitely not 12. I have to say, so don't be afraid. You can succeed. Also, you don't have to work 12 hours per day. I can guarantee you that. It depends. So if you're enjoying what you're doing, this is the only thing that it should drive you to work 12 hours per day.
Right.
So yeah, you definitely need to have a balance between life, social activities, sports, whatever, and work. And I'm sure that's I think that's very important to maintain. If you're really enjoying your job, and it just drives you crazy to do, okay, that's great. But don't, if you're not feeling that comfortable, you're just simply tired, and you just kind of do that. I think that's perfectly fine, no. So in my PhD, I had a better, let's say, relaxed advisor. So he wasn't, like on top of us all the time. So he let us work, and I had a flexible time. Right now, I cannot tell you because I just started like a week ago. So I'm basically 2 weeks ago. So I'm doing paperwork, but I can tell you what I'm planning. I'm planning to work from 9 to 5, and and then dedicate also time to myself, as if it were like a job, like an industry position. That's my personal, yeah.
Right.
So, do we have another question from the audience? Nope. Okay, I have another question. I guess it's
Yes.
my question. So, how, when you graduate, you know, how do you know where to apply? There are so many places, and at the same time, so many few. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's kind of like, how do you narrow that, or how do you?
Mhm.
Is this like someone told you apply here, or you found a place, or I don't know.
Anil?
Yeah, sure. I mean, in our case, especially with high energy field, it is a little different than I think it is a little different from other sector because if you are applying for postdoc, that's what I always wanted to do. Uh, Most of the position uh, will open beginning of November and it will end by December. So there is a window there where you can apply.
Yeah.
So you just apply within that window. Then within like I guess the first to second week of January, you will kind of know like whether you are gonna get a position or not. But then if the time goes on, then the likelihood that you are gonna get a postdoc decreases significantly. But then to find where to apply exactly, so there are websites, so-called academic job online, where you can go through and they will list all the places which has postdoc openings.
Yes.
And also there is in case of the harness physics, there is Inspire HEP page where you can see all the openings as well.
Mhm. Yes. So what the question was, like, how do you navigate? No. Yes. So what Anil pointed out is important. Like a year before your graduation time, you need to start, like, thinking. Maybe even before, a year and a half, 2 years before. It's like, what do I want to do? No. And if I want to remain in academia, I want to stay in academia. Yes, maybe November, October, you need to start applying. So I personally work on a proposal and we started on November. The deadline of the proposal was something like November. So in August, I start talking to the professor. But in May, I gave a talk. This is how I got this offer. In May, I gave a talk for this lab, and then I immediately searched, what they do. They asked me to give a talk, And then I didn't know about the existence of this lab until that moment. And then I went there, I checked the lab, and I checked that they had a very similar experiment as the one that I was working on. So I was, okay, this is like, sounds like a good, first option, no? And actually at the end it worked out, no? But the way which places you might apply, it's by your network, no? So that's the networking. That's the networking that you built during all your previous years of PhD, going to conferences, giving talks. This is how you build your network, and this is how you have to. I think the best way is to personally reach the labs that you think that you might want to work on, no? And this is as simple as just Googling, whatever you do, and then labs, and then you start there. Or if you don't know them before by papers that you have read, this is how you start the thing. And my recommendation is you should go and email the professor and tell them very straightforward, very honest, I want to work with you. How can we do this? Just like that, because they are not making you any favor, in accepting you. They want you there, no? The thing is whether or not they have the money, whether or not you can help them find the money. So if you want to stay in academia, this is the main thing, no? And then I wanted to point out also like the industry approach, So my expertise was the thing that I had worked on was experimental fluid dynamics, and in particular I worked with liquid metals. So I was searching positions and I found in LinkedIn actually a position called liquid metal experimentalist, and I was like, okay, what is this? This is it's me, it's exactly me. So I start searching, and I discovered that there was this new branch, this branch within fusion energy companies, in which they are actually very interested in using liquid metals for their reactors, no? And then he's like, oh, so this is a thing, no? This is something that I have done. This is something that I work in a different context, but I have worked with this thing. And then I start looking for companies that were, companies that were doing fusion, and then were open positions. And then it turns out actually that I found like 2 companies that were willing to hire me. But it was because I could make the connection between my skills, the skills that I gained, with possible, tentative, how my skills could be useful for my company. So if this is a valid approach, you can also take it. Yeah, I mean that's how I narrow it down, more or less.
I have a follow-up question. How that lab found you? You said they reached you. How did they just Google, like, who is working with 2 gigantic spheres? And
so again, networking. This is fundamental. You gotta know all the labs that do things similar to the things that you're doing right now, just by reading papers, by going to conferences. And then I think we publish an article, and then they reach to us, hey, can you give a talk about this article? No? And then that's it. And then I check them, and then, they actually do the same thing that I do. I didn't know them, before. So, okay. And then, I literally email the professor, and, I think the title of the email, I still have it like here. It's like, interest in your lab. That's it. It was like, interest in your lab, interest in a postdoc position. I think just like that. That's the title, no, you don't go around with these things.
Ruben, so my understanding what you were talking is that you were actually tailoring your CV for each application, right? For tailoring your application.
Yes, exactly.
Letter, where you're highlighting your skills for this particular position. It's not like only one CV for all possible positions, not only one letter of application for all possible positions.
No, that's an excellent good point. Yes. So I originally had one big CV with everything, and all my interests, it was like 3 pages, and then I literally listed all the conferences that I went. It was like a huge thing, with the Physics Today format or whatever, but it was like a huge thing that, and then I say, okay, this is not working, whatever. I'm getting rejection. This was, by the way, this was not only the place that I applied, ETH. I applied to Los Alamos. I applied to, I remember I got rejected from Los Alamos, that one I'm sure. And I applied to many universities, 2, 3 here in Europe as well. I applied to Princeton, they never reply, So I think I applied to like in total, no, I mean, like I can tell you that, I don't know, 20 places, Anyway, but so I started getting replies from especially from companies when I made a resume, which is like a one-page version of your CV, and then there you highlight the things that the company might be interested on. And it's annoying, it's a pain in the it's a problem, but you have to do that for
I'm
every
used to
application.
all expressions, don't worry.
But this is being recorded, and I don't know when it's gonna be uploaded. So this YouTube is fine. So it's you have and they also ask you for cover letters, no? So you have to have like a cover letter, and then you have to link there. You have to be very specific with the things that you can afford to them, et cetera, et cetera. But everything has to be tailored, as the professor said. Yes.
I think you should spend quite a good amount of time to prepare good application materials.
Mm-hmm.
It's very important. Like especially in high energy, you have to write a research statement on top of your CV and everything. I think you should work, gives considerable amount of time to write a good research statement. That is also quite important.
Yeah. So Anil, did you apply to like a grant?
No. I mean, so basically, I don't know. Like in our case, it's a little bit different. There are very few openings,
Yes.
and then basically, if you have opening, you just apply there, and then you get it.
Okay.
And
Okay.
the professor usually applies for the grant if they have money, and they will have the openings and so on.
Yeah. And how many positions did you apply?
Yeah, I was quite open as I applied a lot of places.
Uh-huh.
Over 100 places, I would say.
How many?
100, over 100 places,
Nice.
including all over Europe. I was
Mhm.
I was open to anywhere I can find a good postdoc.
Yeah.
I applied to Europe, all over US.
Mhm.
Everyone's faces here. I have a question. What about LinkedIn? Is it really useful or is it just a myth?
No, I think it is.
A myth or
Yeah.
useful?
For industry, I think it is. Even for academic positions, I found a few academic postdoc offerings there in LinkedIn, and yep.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, it's like a little bit different again with high energy.
Mhm.
I have not. I think I do have a LinkedIn account, but it was from undergrad. After that, I don't even know what is an account. So I don't know. For high energy, I don't know if it is really important.
I have another question similar. Like, what about the amount of papers? How important is it? I know it's like always, it depends on the quality, citations, this and that, but I don't know. What's your experience on that, or how many?
I have only one. No, and we submitted two more, and then I'm working another one. But as a first author, I only have one. So I think it's more about the connection. Of course, if you have a list of huge papers, and it depends on the field as well. No? That definitely is going to help you for sure.
Yes, I just wanted to add, I think both number of positions you apply and number of papers you have strongly depend on your research area.
Right.
On your what? Sorry.
Strongly depend on your research area.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in high energy experimental physics, it's quite normal to have one or two papers to graduate. For high energy theory, if you
Yes.
have less than 10, you are pretty much not very well. Right, Anil?
Right. Absolutely.
So I know a colleague, and then so I work with him, but and then he had like 6 papers, but he wasn't first author there. And then when we get to the point where we needed to write something, actually, he struggled a lot because he even though he had 6 papers, he was not first author of them. He hadn't written them. So that point in which you have to sit down and write, that's that's not reflecting the number of papers that you have, not even
Yes.
So yeah, I think it's really bad. I believe that this is H index, and this is how science is measured. but I think this is a different discussion. The world as it is, yes, the more papers that you have, the mere. So keep to get your papers there. Yep. Try to keep your papers there.
Yeah, but again, I don't know if it's right to say to this audience, but in high energy theory, definitely the number of papers and the number of collaborators you have has a huge impact on whether you get a postdoc or not. If you do not have, let's say, if you just have 1 or 2 papers, the likelihood is almost none to get a postdoc.
Yep.
Is there any question from the audience?
What do you do in that case? You have only 1 or 2 papers.
So Anil, can you hear me?
Yes.
we can hear you.
So I'm Ajay. Yeah. So what about the LinkedIn? I didn't completely got the thing which you said. So the LinkedIn is not useful for us.
It's not. I mean, at least it is not useful for me. I have not. I do have a LinkedIn account, but
No, I was
for
planning
manager.
to create one after the summer for
I don't think you have to worry about it. I don't think you have to worry about it. I think it should be more focused on writing more papers, good papers.
So we have a question here.
Okay, Anil, I have one more question before that. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Did you ever try to do in industry? So no.
No. I mean, again, for high energy, it is again, as I was telling before, you have a like certain window that you apply for the postdoc. So almost all of the postdoc openings I would say like 80 to 90% is the deadline will not pass, I say, first week of January. So by the end of the January, you know whether you are going to get a postdoc or not. And if you do not get it, then you can start to think about some other options.
Can I ask the audience, like, what is their field, and like, if they're interested in academia or industry? Can you do a little bit of survey quickly? And then
energy theory.
there you go.
I am interested in academia.
Good.
I'm from theoretical quantum optics and quantum information, and I'm interested in academia as well.
Okay.
My name is Saad. I'm in the condensed matter group, computational physics in condensed matter, same as Rusty. I'm more interested in industry than academia. Yeah, I'm from experimental condensed matter, and I would say I'm interested in industry as well.
Good.
I'm open, but I'm interested in energy physics.
Okay.
I'm Luke. I'm in experimental high energy physics, and I will pursue whatever opportunities are the most fruitful.
I'm with Luke. Condensed matter physics, but I'm on his team.
We're all with you.
Condensed matter physics as well. Well, I'll try to pursue academia, but we'll see. Yeah, I'm in theory as well.
I'm Chandler. I'm also in theoretical quantum optics and quantum information science, and I'm more interested in industry than academia.
Okay.
Yeah, cool.
There.
Cool.
It doesn't matter.
Physics. Okay.
How about you?
I'm Sean. I'm an undergrad. I'm looking into astrophysics PhD programs right now, and hoping to. I'm considering academia, but the door is open to industry.
Okay. Good.
So I have a question.
Yes.
Which is the perfect time to start to prepare your CVs, to start looking at that? Like, I guess the earlier the best, but I don't know. What will be your recommendations if you were in our place and you're having this talk? What would you recommend?
Anil?
Sure. Yeah. I think you should start quite early. In principle, you should always keep updating your CV. every conference you go, I think you should so that you can keep track of it. But if you're applying, for example, for academia, I would say like October. If you're graduating, let's say in May, then you should start building a CV and everything. Start the process by October, November, for sure. Again, I might be partial because of my experience with high energy physics.
So yeah, I'm not gonna lie, you know, I knew that I needed to start working on my CV since the moment I was in grad school. But I actually start working on that, you know, like a month before applying to the first job. So this is my experience. You know, it was horrible. It was a pain. Yeah, it was very bad. I recommend you. Yes, of course. You know, I'm gonna tell you. Yes, you need to start working on that. You have to have your even Word document open right now, and everything that you do, you know, try to document it there. But I'm not going. I know how it is. So you know, it's okay if you don't have it. Eventually, the pressure is gonna force you to do it. You know, and then you'll do it. But what I do recommend you is that you have the long version and then you have the short, you know, version that you adapt, because, you know, especially if you're applying to companies, they're not gonna, you know, read the whole thing. You know, they just want, you know, the short, and then that one you can edit it, you know, and then tailor it. You know. But yeah, so you should start as soon as possible. But yeah, it's okay.
On top of that, I would also suggest like at least for those who are applying for postdoc or any job, you should give a ample time to your recommender to write a recommendation. Don't wait until the very last moment.
Yeah.
So I have a question. So did you guys apply for internships during your grad school?
So, sorry, can you repeat or?
Did you apply for internships during your grad school?
Okay, that's a good one. So I didn't, but I regret that. So that's something that I will tell you to do. You know, an internship. You know, even in, or it can be in a lab abroad. That might work as well. I think I had that chance, but I didn't you know, pursue it. I should have insisted a little bit more in doing something abroad or working in another lab, or even an internship for a summer in a company. That you know, that's really useful. I will definitely do that. You know, again, if I had the chance. Good point. Good point.
I have another question. What about the role of your advisors during the end part of your career?
Do you want him to step out? Why don't I step out?
She's actually going out. Okay. Okay. Good. Anil, you wanna go?
Sure. I mean, what is the question again? What is the role of advisor on what?
Yeah, at the very end of your career, like for applying, for wrapping up projects, like all of that details.
Yeah, of course. Advisor plays a huge role, and it also depends like what kind of advisor you have, and like how much work you put in. Again, especially in high energy physics theory, it is expected for a student to work a lot. Um, it is a tough field unless you work a lot, and then unless I don't know, like it is very hard to keep up. Not only that, I think advisor plays role in everything. For example, I'm still working with my PhD advisor. In fact, I have written more projects now in like 1 year than I had written in my PhD career with him. So it is very important to have a good relationship with advisor. Now it's like more not like advisor, but like a more collaborator. Uh, um, yeah, I mean, it is definitely helpful to have a good relationship with uh, your advisor for sure, because he's the one who's gonna write. He or she is the one who's gonna write the recommendation later. Uh, yeah, I don't know.
I think that's why. Yeah, that's why I recommended, you know, to do like internships or to do like work with another lab for a summer, because now you can have, you know, like another recommendation letter. You know, my main problem is that I had only basically my advisor was the only one, who got my advisor from the PhD, and my advisor for undergrad, which to be I don't think even counts, but that was the one that I asked him for other recommendations there. If I would have worked in a different lab, I could have asked for another one. So yeah, those places there that requested 3 recommendations there, I didn't apply to. I only applied to those who requested 2 recommendation letters. I think the role of the advisor should be fundamental to guide you to apply for these jobs. But this is not something that you can choose, sadly. So hopefully you will have an advisor that will guide you through it, but if not, you have to do it on your own.
Right.
And
Yeah, I mean, it is like advisory is like it's like 10% of thing, right? They will help, but at the end of the day, it is all on you. You have to go. You have to look for. I mean, even though it's a hard way, that's how it is. It is supposed to be. I don't know.
So my advisor told me something very important. It's like there is, I think, the only way you can live, finish your PhD is if you get another job in before finishing your PhD. I think this is the only way you can actually live.
That's an important trade secret.
So the way, at least, the way in my case, the funding run out, and then it was like, okay, you have to go, no? But beside that, on top of that, the only other way is if you find a job and then you tell your advisor, hey, I found this job, I need to graduate, no? And then I think that's actually more secure way of finishing your PhD, because if you don't have any other option, then it's like, okay, I'm gonna keep working here, and it's a comfortable life, to be honest. They don't push you that much. You work to a minimum salary, basically, but they don't force you too much. It depends, it's more on you, and then you're relaxed living your life. But then when you say, okay, I need to live, I need to start, taking this thing seriously, and then the thing starts. So I think getting a job, it's the only way you guarantee you're finishing your thesis.
Yeah. So one more thing. So if you are pursuing or if you are thinking to do high energy physics theory, especially theory, I strongly suggest not to only work with your advisor. Try to find some different collaborator as well, so that you can work, and then it is a complete different. I don't know. You'll gain a lot of more experience as well whenever you work with some other collaborators. So it is quite important.
Why is this high energy physics like so? Like, it sounds like a cult. What is going on there, man? Like, what did you do?
So I don't know. The thing about is like there's, I don't want to discourage you, in a sense, but there are very few openings, extremely few openings, and then a lot of people apply with very impressive resumes, and everybody is applying for the same position. So it is tough. Okay, so for that, you need to excel beyond what you expected.
But so in my case, I don't know why, but it wasn't like that. It was like there were so few people doing this, but there was. I mean,
the problem right now with high energy. Sorry, the problem with right now with high energy theory is there are no fundings at all. Right, with I don't know. Again, I don't want to discourage you, but it is a reality.
So we have a question here from Sad.
So how do you find collaborators to work with outside of groups or another
Say
universities?
it again, sorry.
How do we find collaborators to collaborate with, like from other universities?
Right,
how do you reach them?
Yes, it's a very good question. Okay, so good. So the best way to find a collaborator is through conferences. So wherever you go for a conferences to give a talk. So it is the best place to meet the collaborators. Go to their talks, talk with the people, and then try to initiate some projects. Okay, that is the best way. You have to. I think that's how I actually got involved in few more. I mean, I think I have when I was in PhD, I had like 3 or 4 collaborators on top of my advisor.
Yeah. I think I agree with that. I will add though that when you go to these conferences and then you need to be aggressive about either finding a position, either finding a collaboration, aggressive, like literally, like an example is, hey, how are you? Nice meeting you. Oh, I'm Professor Waba. Okay, yes, I'm very interested in working with you. Do you have any opening? Just like that. Just like you have to be straightforward. And I think this is very important. And try to talk to as many people as you can. But again, this needs to be have to be something natural. It's something that you want to do. No, if you need to have this feeling of, hey, I'm enjoying this thing. Of just communicating with all these people and trying to because this is what I want to do. Like the motivation needs to be there. No, it cannot be something that you do because you're forced to, because this is the way that you have to do. So if you're feeling like that, maybe the academia is not a way, no, and then industry it might be a more reasonable option, no? So all these things that you're doing, this pursuing and then being aggressive and talking to everyone and writing and working 12 hours, no offense, Anil, this has to be something that you enjoy deeply, no? If not, then man, just don't.
Yeah, okay. I suggest, if you do not enjoy energy, then you don't do it. Okay. Yeah, you have to enjoy. I don't know. Yeah.
So yeah. The way you define these collaborators is you have to be very aggressive. You have to be straightforward. And then I remember,
sorry, do not hesitate. Also, I just want to add quick: do not hesitate to talk to people. They understand you are a PhD student. If you are talking to a professor, of course they know a lot more, and then probably like 80% of the time you don't understand what the talk is about. But I think it is still important to be aggressive, especially in the initial period whenever you are going to a conference.
So you're gonna say, especially in high energy physics.
No, I think it is true in any other fields. No, I don't know.
Yeah. I remember my last conference that I went, it was 2021. Man, I was really, really stressed out because I was, okay, this is where I need to get a job. This is where I need to be aggressive. This is when and I was like, everyone that I talked, I asked for emails. I asked for, hey, send me your LinkedIn, let's chat, whatever. And yep. That last, the year before graduating was really stressful for trying to get a job and this whole thing. So yeah, if you can start as early as you can, this is really good. No? But again, it's okay if you do it last time. It's fine. It's gonna work. It's okay.
I have a question. What about side projects that are not research? Do you think that can help? Like, I don't know, competitions, or I don't know, other type of activities you can do? Do you think that they might help, or maybe just for academia? Sorry, maybe just for industry and not for academia? What do you think on that?
I think definitely helps. Definitely. But again, I think the most important thing is the networking, the connections, the professors that the contacts that you make. This is the main thing. But yeah, definitely it adds, adds more color to your CV, I think, and I think industry will take that more into account, definitely.
I also have another question. Both of you are international students here in the US. Do you think that made your applications harder, or do you feel any difference?
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah, what?
Oh yeah. I was living in Maryland, in the Washington DMV. It was the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. And I think 80% of the jobs that I found that I could have applied, they required clearance. So I did not. And I think I was rejected from NASA from that. It's just that they didn't actually tell me that. So yeah, definitely it's an advantage. But if you're international, you have to sort that out. And then, especially in LinkedIn, you have to scroll all the way down until the description of the program. And at the end, it finally says U.S. citizens only, and then okay, yeah. And then you can, if it doesn't say that, then you can start reading the whole post. You know, but just scroll all the way down. It's funny because they say many of these things say we're open to any type of ethnicity, background, religion, whatever. But you have to be U.S. and citizenship. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. I understand. It's okay.
Yeah. I think you're right. Definitely in the industry or like government job, something like that. It is definitely true. No, I would say
academia,
not so much
in
in academia. Academia, I don't think it matters.
Yeah.
Do you have any question from the audience at this point? Yes.
Yeah, I have a question specifically for Ruben. You mentioned that you had a couple industry offers and you decided to go with the academia route. What were some of the motivations behind that? And how do you, with the fight, I'm sure you were going to make a lot more in industry. So what are some other factors that made the money not as well?
Why choosing poverty?
That's a good question, and so I think that the main reason is that is because of the position that I got. It was like in a good place. You know, it was a good lab. It was a good university. The payment is good, which is very weird in postdoc positions. So that those three factors help, but I think the one that helped that was decisive the most was that like if you go out of academia, it's more difficult to go back in. So if I would have decided to go to industry for 2-3 years, and then you say, okay, fuck, I don't like industry, I want to go back to be a postdoc, it's definitely harder, because they're expecting you to keep producing papers and to keep publishing, to keep doing research. So if you can find an industry that guarantees you that you're going to be doing research and publishing papers, which is very weird in companies, because many of them, they're very secretive of the work that they do. They're not willing to, show it to the public, But if you manage to find a company that guarantees you that you're going to be publishing it, you're going to do research, maybe, okay, you have more chances. But it's better the other way. It's better like, do a postdoc first. And then, once you have finally decided, okay, fuck this, academia is not for me. I want a different type of work. Then, jump into industry. It's not bad at all. It's actually, I think it's the best thing to do. Personally, maybe a little bit more. I wanted to try a different lab. I wanted to try a different environment. I wanted to try maybe how academia was done in Europe versus the US. And then with all those tools in hand, decide. To be honest, I think I'm probably going to go to industry because I also want to give it a try, and I think the motivation, the drive is different than in the academia. And I want to experiment, to feel that, to experiment that as well. I think that was.
Do we have another question from the audience?
Anil, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
So I would like to know what are the mistakes you did by applying postdoc?
What are mistakes?
That's good.
What mistake did I do? Yeah, so I don't know. I think I could have written better research statement for sure.
Maybe you wrote 100. Like, there's no way you can.
Wow. You can categorically divide into different sectors. What else? I don't know. When I was applying, I don't know. Maybe not that many. I don't know.
What about you, Ruben?
Mistakes. I mean,
I guess you both succeed, and once you succeed, it's hard to find mistakes. But I don't know. Maybe on your in your rejections,
you forget them.
I think that. Yeah, I think maybe the mistake that I was making at the beginning was this thing of not tailoring that much your CV, and then just putting all the things that you have done there in a 2-3 pages document, and hoping that, oh yeah, the bigger the better, and it's like, no, you have to actually seduce them, and then, hey, this is why I'm useful for you, no? And then, so if you're applying for industry or whatever, you have to read, and you have to read what they're looking for, and then you have to write that you have all those skills, and you have I mean, if you do have them, but you have to be very selective in that process. You have to, as the professor said, tailor it down. I think this is the thing that I wasn't doing at the beginning. I was very confident that because I was a PhD from the UMD, it's like, oh yeah, everyone will be, yeah, come here, and it's not at all like that, no, at all.
I have a question. Or did you have a question, right, Sad?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, what about applying for jobs that are not directly related to research?
Can you repeat that, Ross?
What about applying to jobs that are not directly related to physics? Or engineering, I guess.
Like outside of industry jobs that are not physics related, not research jobs.
Okay, industry jobs that are not research related, they're not like physics.
Let's say finance.
Like finance, for example.
Ooh, okay.
Well, applied engineering, yeah.
Yeah, I don't have experience in that because I do want to do research, despite if it's academia or an industry, I want to do research. But I heard there is a very huge many openings in finance, for instance. So yeah, that might be good. I think the other thing that is not considered research in industry is like consulting. So I think technically, if you're doing consulting, whatever that means, for me, it's like a ghost. I don't know what it is. That's also like non-research, non like academia job. But no, I don't have experience with that.
Do you have more questions here from the audience?
If you can compare, how was the CV for industry and academia different?
Could you hear that?
No, you should.
The CV versus industry versus academia.
Yeah, what's the main difference, right, between the CV and industry and academia?
Again, if the industry is like research related, it shouldn't be much of a difference. At least the ones that I applied, so the ones that I applied were fusion startups / industries. So that's pretty, everything they do is like novel research. So they're trying to achieve this fusion reactor. So everything that they do it's research. No, this is what I mean, that what they do, they don't necessarily publish it because everyone is trying to go their own way. So they are not like, hey, yeah, this is the. But I think they're very similar, to be honest, because you want to show them, your abilities to do research, and then they're both actually looking for that, no? So they're very similar. Again, you have to tailor it down, man. You have to tailor it down, and maybe in academia it's more like an open, they're not. I mean, they're not necessarily, we want a professional with this and this experience. Industry will do that more, no? I think academia, you're looking for a postdoc position for the earth science department and whatever, doing that. So it's very general, not very broad, because you're supposed to bring your own research to the table. Whereas in industry, yes, you have this selected list that you have to check, and that has to be reflected on the CV, on the resume.
How do you learn how to build up your resume? Like in terms of displaying, does it need a picture of you? Does it not? Are you putting your name first? Are you putting like your programming languages? Like, I don't know, a little bit more detail on those CV for both of you, because I guess they're fairly different, being experimental and theory. But I don't know. You're both on postdoc positions, so.
Anil?
I don't know. I would prefer not to put a picture, for sure. I don't know. Maybe there are some other fields that require picture. I don't know. But I would say in CV generally, I don't know. It's like general format, right? Like you write your name, your information, your email address. I don't know, like your whatever the topic that you did your PhD, your research interest. whatever skill you developed when you are doing a PhD